really cool. Bonjour, hello, and welcome to the Rosbifs Rugby podcast, your one-stop shop for all things French rugby, the top 14 Pro de National, the Champions and Challenge Cups, the French national team, Les Bleus, and of course the brilliant towns, cities, bars, restaurants, people, stadiums, fans, atmospheres that make the French game the experience we know and love. Beset by technical problems this morning that you can probably hear, and some slightly different locations, but Rob is dialing in from deepest, darkest Dorset, I believe.
Correct.
Very good. What takes you there?
I've been playing cricket this week for my school old boys team. So we played at the school yesterday, and then we're playing against a local club today in Brockenhurst, which I think is probably technically Hampshire, but New Forest. It's in the heart of New Forest. So yeah,
it sounds delightful.
Yeah, it's been a nice couple of days. Nice couple of days to be back down here and warm. Well, hot, but yeah, nice to be. It's when you come back down to Dorset. I don't want to. I have no idea how many listeners we have in Dorset, but it's very different to London. It is like every time I come down, it's like another place to shut down. It's like broken Britain, mate.
Well, on that cheery note, I'm glad to hear that my microphone isn't the only thing that's broken this morning. But yeah, we'll work that out. Shall we pile straight in? There was one we spend so much time trying to eagerly kind of work through which games we talk about, which ones we don't. This week, the Nations Championship makes it very, very straightforward. France v New Zealand down in the new stadium in Christchurch, which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, lovely setup down there. 30. Oh, I want to get the score wrong. 34-32. 32-30. It was a 2-point win in the 30s. Trust myself, first time. First things first, I really, really enjoyed it. It was a cracking game of rugby. There was so much rugby on Saturday. Like it was the sort of the fatigue was setting in, and I think I watched like 2.5 games, and I felt like that was
what other ones did you watch?
I watched England get completely dismantled by South Africa. And I watched a decent chunk of the Fiji game, in which the top 14 Fijians ran absolute riot, but still contrived to lose to Wales, which was quite something. G1 and Golo, our boy, was doing some ridiculous stuff.
There's like 16,000 people there or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a strange one because it was officially a Fiji home game, right?
Okay.
So it was a little bit. The whole setup was a little bit
in the Cardiff City Stadium.
Yeah. They kind of chose to play it there, or there was. I'm not entirely sure how it worked, but I think Fiji would have been in the home changing room in Cardiff. So that was quite a lot of fun. Thoughts, France, New Zealand. Where's your head at after that one?
A little bit of like one that got away for France. I think a high level like moral victory, because it's kind of like we had all these players missing and we still pushed them close, but also like we kind of had that before with France down in New Zealand, so they kind of need to start winning some. I think like they can't just be like, oh well, we haven't got any players, we've got half the players missing, we still got great depth, and that was pretty close, we pushed them. That like the All Blacks were there for the taking, really. They could have won that, France, and they had. I mean, were it not for the slightest of knock-ons for the try that got disallowed for Brewery, and I know that New Zealand had some tries like disallowed, but France could have easily been ahead at various different points or stayed ahead or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity and a bit frustrating that they've kind of still got this excuse of, oh well, we had Toulouse players unavailable. And I think that it's all very well and good being like, oh well, you've got 2 teams worth of teams not available, but the crunch was they had 11 Toulouse players in the matchday squad in the 23 that played, and Nucci did, so they didn't have any Montpellier players, but they did have nearly half of their squad was Toulouse players. So yeah, I don't know, it's frustrating that they can use that as an excuse and be like, oh well, we got try bonus point, we got a losing bonus point, not bad result given you've got it's annoying.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think, I think the two things can be true at the same time. That they'd undoubtedly be strengthened, particularly in the pack, by the the non-playing group that have or non-playing for that first week that have travelled out. Primarily Toulouse, but I guess like Nucci as well, potentially Bahag, that by that contingent. But equally, that I guess, as we've said a few times, and you mentioned there, that strength in depth is, if it's not getting you through games, now a different scenario. So I'm not saying it's a totally different, or totally the same, rather, scenario. And it might not go South Africa's way, but South Africa announced their team just this morning or last night or whenever it was, for Scotland, and they've changed up a lot.
They've rung the changes,
a lot of, and you would still assume that they would win, albeit they're at home and they're world champions, and you've got like multiple World Cup winners in there. So it's not like it's not quite as black and white, but I kind of agree. It's a little bit frustrating, albeit some of the guys. Yeah, I think in that the pack is an interesting one for me, because they felt kind of second best, throughout, but there were sort of individual glimmers, I thought, of performances in the forwards that were quite encouraging. And it's also, in terms of boding well going forward, I think there is an element of, in a crunch World Cup game, you're never going to have like a full second choice pack. So some of these guys who are showing glimmers, or have in the past, or we know have that real top end quality, are going to be surrounded by far more experience and quality to shine a little bit more on their own. But it was still a lot of fun.
Go on then, Rich. Who were the glimmers? Who were the players that impressed you in that pack? Because I think for me, they were on the ropes at scrum time without ever getting marmalised in the way that we thought they possibly might.
Yep.
And I thought at the breakdown is where New Zealand won it. Like, New Zealand
100%.
went so hard at the breakdown all game. You see it kind of at think it's their last try, maybe, when like France are on the back foot just outside their own 22, and there's just an unbelievable counter ruck, but they just went so hard both sides of the ball at the ruck that France could never quite get. They couldn't keep hold of the ball enough. So who impressed you in the pack, whether it was set piece or round the park carrying?
The three guys who I don't think, maybe with the exception of Jegu, I thought had a pretty good game. I thought he continues to kind of maybe belie his size, and he
doesn't look like he should be as poirful as he is.
He's abrasive.
Consistently,
I was impressed by him. I thought Jefferson Poirot had a pretty good game, was solid enough at scrum time, and did he didn't maybe get the quantity of jackals that we've seen do for Bordeaux, but like huge work rate. I can definitely see him now. He's been recalled, kind of tucking in behind Jean-Baptiste Gros as the two loose heads. And I thought Tom Staniforth had
good options, isn't it? Like you're saying, if you've got a crunch World Cup game, if you've got Poirot to bring off the bench, or if it's Cyril Baille returns to form, it's like that's proper options, isn't it? Behind Jean-Baptiste Gros. Yeah,
and I thought on debut, Staniforth, without maybe kind of utterly breaking anything apart, got through a lot of work. They clearly value that type of second row. Get a lot of ball, as they have done to, Miafu's a freak, but Guillard as well. And I don't think in any way that he's quite in their class, certainly at the moment, but potentially, the sort of reliable performance that could get him into a World Cup squad. As particularly given Guillard covers the back row as well, so a little bit of versatility there, having another heavy five. And I thought he looked okay.
I think he certainly matched Guillard's industry. Whether he quite matched Guillard or Miafu's impact, I don't know.
Agreed.
In terms of just how much they get over the game, on how much they set New Zealand back compared to Guillard or Miafu.
Yeah, Yeah, completely agree with that. So yeah, those were the guys in the forwards. I don't know if there's anyone else for you in the pack that you felt was anything particularly noteworthy.
Got to defend my man, haven't I? But I think a couple of at least one line out still for Oradu in quite like on New Zealand ball, and I think the line out ran pretty well generally from France, and that's generally his area of expertise. I think similar to Staniforth, like all of the work rate that you see from Oradu, but at international level, he just doesn't quite have the impact in terms of like moving the dial of like getting or breaking the gain line that other second rows do. He still doesn't quite have that edge physically at the absolute top level, despite being a brilliant all-round work rate and brilliant line-out technician. And maybe you don't, Flamont is just a world class at some of that stuff. So
yeah, comparing these guys to people who have been there and done it for quite some time as well, right? But yeah, I tend to agree with that too.
It's interesting. I think it's interesting that you called out Jegu as like a good one. Does that imply that the other guys in the back row didn't impress for you?
Well, I mean, Bosheton went off pretty early, didn't he? But I think he
Yeah.
struggled to make much of an impact before that. Not that there was anything overtly negative, but just didn't. He wasn't quite as primary in that period of time. Guillard off the bench was great as he always is, and I thought Gazzotti had a few moments, but I mean, yeah,
Some
I
of his
thought
discipline. It's like there was a penalty that's like that is so stupid. Like
yeah,
the breakdown, it's like you are so clearly off your feet and you're just continuing to try and go for the ball.
was that the 3 point kind of in the second half?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's so long, isn't he, over the rock?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Again, there were moments in there, but also, I mean, it's unfair to compare, but like the impact, particularly at the breakdown that like Ardy Surveyor had was extraordinary, and it's unfair to expect that, but as you say, ultimately, like they completely won the breakdown battle, and that was potentially the most important thing, and they didn't really fire a shot. But given it looked, with the exception of Staniforth, it looked looked a little bit
It looked
lightweight for
so
an
lightweight.
international pack.
I didn't see the pack weights, but I can imagine that it was at least 50 kilos that New Zealand had across the pack heavier, because then none of those guys are heavy.
Yeah,
even like Bamba maybe, but I'd imagine Montagne is heavier. Staniforth is probably the only guy over 120 in that pack. Maybe Bamba as well. But.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But yeah, I mean, and I don't think they got totally, they didn't get totally bullied, but equally there was never really an ascendancy there, which actually I think made for, without going to backs versus forwards, which made for some of the play in the backs and some of the shapes and tries they scored kind of arguably even more impressive, because it wasn't all off, kind of dominant front foot ball. I thought both centres were brilliant. I thought Moefana in the first half in particular was excellent. Brobery in the second half had an incredible half. He was absolutely amazing. Your man, the world is paying attention to Fabien Brobery, particularly at 13 as well. I mean, I know he's played there a bit for Poe, but 12 is his position, right? And just to slot in. I think what's been so impressive for me, as someone who obviously hasn't watched him quite as much as you have, it's just the seamlessness with the games he's played for France. Like, there were a few more stellar moments in this game, but even like I think was it Wales he made his debut, and it was not a great Welsh side, or not in form Welsh side, but there was no lack of cohesion with someone brand new in there, and I think that's clearly testament to he's a very, very classy operator.
Yeah. And I think it's like the impact he's able to have physically as well for a guy that is still only 20.
Yeah.
He's developing a real knack.
25.
Bloody hell.
He's been around forever.
Yeah. Still, one thing he has developed in his appearances for France, he seems to have developed an ability to drop the ball near the try line or on the try line quite a lot. Like that little chip, the chip from Jalibert, like the bounce has to be perfect, or it's very easy in that situation for the ball to like skip on, and it kind of does, but it's a good enough bounce that he should take it. and he's kind of got it in his hands. But yeah, because
Yeah.
I know on debut, like he's like carved out these perfect scenarios for him to score a try, and then has dropped it like a couple of times now for France. It's just like but like they say on like Match of the Day, like it's when you're not creating the chances that you've got to.
That's when you got to worry.
That's when you got to worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine to miss them. Like it's
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. I really enjoyed watching him. I think I know we've spoken about him. Probably, to be fair, probably him and Jalibert have probably given more airtime to maybe Ramos as well this year. But I thought, not utterly perfect, which I think is just through the amount he tries. There was one kind of grubber through to Atasogbe, which was overcooked a little bit, and the odd, like another ball on the floor. But I thought I just love watching him play, and I think him doing it like that against the All Blacks away from home
on the back foot, generally
on the back foot, like I thought it was an incredible performance, and it's the ability as well to create something just from nowhere. The try which resulted in, it was Hastoy who went over, wasn't it?
Finishes
the lovely link up between Broberry, little alley oop inside from Atasogbe. It's just the way, like, I just kept watching it, the way you like picks the lock of the defense. It's like one little show, a step, and three defenders are chasing tails. I thought he was fantastic.
I just love the one thing that I've found watching him, that like as in the games I've seen live, he's played in a few of them this season, he's just so direct. Like as a 10, like, he just runs. You don't see 10s run that hard, and it's not quite crash ball 10, but it's kind of crash ball 10. But he just looks so classy and silky doing it, and you saw it for the try that he scores that brings him close. It's like he's powered over defenders there.
Yeah.
And he's not a big bloke, but it's just the attacking intent that he shows to,
It makes it so hard to defend as well, because you have to kind of, it's not just going to be one out, and that was, you're right, the power, but also like the line initially, and then he just steps inside Surveyor. It was so beautifully done. I just think he's playing fabulous rugby. There's talk that maybe he won't be at 10 next week or end of this week, but we'll see. Was there anyone else or anything else in this game?
I would imagine Entrées will be playing the next game.
Let's talk about that then.
I was just kind of there was a few errors, weren't there, from France, and I think there will be people that will look at that Jalibert performance from the other angle and say, tried too much stuff didn't come off. You want someone more composed. Those counter arguments can be leveled at him after that performance, I think.
I don't think France get anywhere near New Zealand without Mathieu Jalibert in that game. I don't think.
Don't get me wrong. I'm on coming at from the angle that you are, but I just think that so many people will be like, Entrées going to play the next game.
Which, if that happens, I think puts an enormous amount. I mean, Entrées been playing fantastic rugby for Toulouse, as you said last week, and he's been kicking really well, and I think it puts actually quite a lot of pressure on Romain Entrées, because I think France, they need to beat is it Australia next, isn't it? And then Japan after that, right? Yeah. They need to beat Australia, I think.
They need to win those two games.
Yeah. And if they don't, it's another like what if tour for France. And I think, to your point, like, despite all the caveats, there's a little bit of kind of growing weariness around like another good effort with a slightly changed team. And I think it puts a huge amount of pressure on him. There is a bit of talk that there could be the 10-15 Entrées Jalibert axis.
Given how much of the game that Hastoy played at 15, is not that surprising. I'm just not sure it would work. Like, ultimately, Hastoy, I think, makes a mistake in the build-up for one of the tries or one of the penalties, doesn't he? Like, drops it, and then also kind of gets burst through. I don't know if Jacobson gets that. I think it's Jacobson, isn't it, that gets the offload away?
Yeah.
Because he's still got Murph-Arner anyway, but Murph-Arner has to come in because he gets over Hastoy. I don't know whether in that scenario, I was surprised that they went 5-3 in the first place and that Hastoy was there. I just thought we'll just go with Deporter and Luku. You've got 10 cover, you've got 15 cover because you've got Atasogbe there. One of Deporter, Mofana, bro. That fly is going everywhere. That was really weird on the camera. Sorry. One of them can play on the wing if you need to. And I was quite surprised when Deporter came on that they took off Brobery rather than I would have taken like Hastoy back off and then moved one of Spring or Atasogbe back to fullback.
Yeah.
So I think they need to play Atasogbe or Spring at fullback. I don't think that works really to have for them for this France team. Neither Entrées and Jalimack, as good as they are as fly halves, neither of them are Ramos as a fullback. So
yeah, and they don't play fullback, do they?
No,
like, to be honest,
exactly.
It's like, oh yeah, it's all nice to theorize. One guy who won't be playing, Damien Penaud, who I thought looked really tasty before he went off injured, which was a real shame. The first try, him on Jalibert shoulder, you're like, oof, this looks like kind of prime Penaud. But he's out, so I think well, it'd be really cool to see potential for Aaron Grandidier to come in.
So he'll play left. I think Atasogbe's second half on the right wing was just magnificent. Like you saw how cool and calm he is that is his preferred position, I think, and certainly more than left wing. I don't know how much I don't know enough about wing play, but yeah, I imagine Aaron will play left wing. I think they need to make changes in the pack. And I know that they've got options. I think it's crying out for Nucci. And I know we say this, and invariably he ends up like 20 minutes off the bench when he should be. I just cannot get my head around how he's not already on like 30 caps. I know he's had a few injuries at inopportune times, but I just thought I looked at that back row until Guillard came on. They were just crying out for Guillard to come on and crying out for Nucci generally to be in that team. And the thing is with these like Toulouse and Montpellier players, that like there's got to be a reason that they've been called up, because you wouldn't fly someone around the world that's a 50-50 like at short notice. You would, on that short turnaround, if it's a 50-50 with someone else, you would just go for the other guy so they're out there longer. You don't have the jet lag risk. You don't have travel after another game of an intense game, that sort of thing. So I think a lot of those guys will be in there. And we saw it, I think, last year in that second test. You had guys like Bastien Verntyfer and Boscheton, I think, came in, didn't he? And a lot of the Bordeaux players came and played straight away. So I think we will see change, which is why I think Entrées is going to play, because why would you? You've got a guy that has been your first choice for years, coming back to some form. You're flying him across the world because you want him back as your first choice, I think.
Yeah. So I suspect we'll certainly see, assuming they all kind of come through training, right? Like Mo Vaca, Meafu,
which helps. Mo Vaca and Meafu help big time. It's a shame that they've got New Zealand in the first week and Australia in the second week. Like, had it been the other way around, that would have been quite good. Like Malvaca and Meafu are two players. Malvaca, Meafu, and Nucci are three players that I think could have made a huge difference to kind of get over, because it would have slowed them down slowed New Zealand down at the breakdown, wouldn't it, if they're just on the back foot a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, in Mo Vaca and Meafu, you arguably got their France's two most, there are different ways to judge it, but in terms of game-breaking influence, two most potentially influential players when they're at their best, right? It'll be interesting to see how they go. I was a little bit confused. Maybe it's a tactical thing with a bit more grunt off the bench, given they were light, but I did find Guillard on the bench a little bit puzzling. I think I would be, if it was a World Cup semi-final, I wonder if they would bring in Nucci and have Guillard at 8.
I think Guillard would have played 8 over Gazzotti. I think there was an element of like, we want to see what he's got.
Yeah.
I still have doubts as to whether Gazzotti is at his current weight, powerful and physical enough for international rugby as a number 8. I think Mathieu is closer than Gazzotti is in terms of physicality, and they're both quite some way behind Guillard.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
Obviously, they offer different things, but
bit of an aside. But I'm fascinated to see how they play it with Bordeaux, with Tom Willis going to Ube Bay as well. You've got 3, but arguably the 2 most promising young eights in in the country. And they're going to be, you would assume, tucked behind Willis. So, yeah, we shall see. Yeah, anything else on France, New Zealand, or looking ahead to this week?
I haven't actually watched the full video yet, but there is a video of Tom Staniforth, like his acceptance speech for his first cap. Yeah, I wondered if you'd seen it.
Yeah, it's very good. Bit of crossover Australian French swearing.
Nice.
Which is good. Yeah, clearly quite a popular guy, and yeah, very like just a nice moment. He looks like he doesn't take himself too seriously.
What gives you that? What gives you that impression?
I think it was
his lid is extraordinary, isn't it?
It's incredible, isn't it?
Just watching it, like seeing that in international rugby, like that is one hell of a lid. It is unbelievable.
There was an interview it might even have been with Ilton, actually. There was an interview a few years ago, and it was like, look, if you're doing it, you got to really commit. You've got to go for it.
That is not a half mullet. Like that's not as good as Jules Favre's mullet is. That's not, that is going about as Australian bogan mullet as you can go with Tom Staniforth.
I think, and do watch it if you can find it. I think effectively what he says is, "Putain, je suis un joueur d'équipe de France," which is loosely translated to "fuck, I'm a player for the French rugby team." Which, yeah, typical Aussie style. Fair play to Tom. It's and he did. I thought he did himself proud as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Shall we park it there? We're going to come back and one of the highlights of the year, the top 14 team of the season, hopefully amidst some slightly better sound quality once I've sorted these microphone issues. But yeah, we'll see you in a bit.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's odoo.com to learn more.
Right, welcome back, Rob. The technical pitfalls that had befallen us earlier in the day, I was going to say, we've
about 2 days ago now.
We've time travelled slightly. We've time travelled forward to a time slightly later in the week where we maybe know a little bit more about what will happen France v Australia on Saturday. But also hopefully with slightly clearer sound. So thank you for bearing with us. It's time for the top 14 team of the season. Always fun. Usually manage to shoehorn in sort of 11 players that no one else had thought of. But I feel like this year, I actually quite enjoyed putting it together. I feel like there's so many options, given the competitiveness, particularly at the top of the league. And yeah, I don't feel like anything too wildly controversial on my list so far, but I haven't seen what you've pulled together, so that might not be the case.
Do you know what? I'm almost the exact opposite. I found it relatively frustrating because there were kind of enough options of all the same standard that, like, I think if you ask me my top 5 players of the season, easy. But some of them probably play the same position as each other, and it's just like I feel relatively unsatisfied with my selections. I think we will probably end up shoehorning in 11 players or so that no one else has thought. I don't think our top 14 team of the season is going to look like anybody else's. I think mine would be, like when the papers do it or whatever, and they publish it, and most people have got kind of 70 to 80% of the same people, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, I agree with that one. I feel like mine is, I'm possibly in my own head about it because I've I've gone. We tend to try and stick to some sort of criteria, and just the main one being games played. Just it's such a long season, you can get done by recency bias or big finals and stuff like that. And so I try and always stay away from players that haven't played that many games, and that has really thrown me.
Yeah. I think there were maybe a couple. I don't know if we probably should have worked out our criteria of games, but I think anything under what
Half,
2/3, half, something like that. I don't think
under
anything.
half. I think if you're under half, you're an automatic no, which is basically why
fair.
the year that Toulouse demolished Bordeaux in the final, I think the official one ended up with about 13 Toulouse players. And we ended up with 0 because barely any of them played.
Yeah.
Although it is particularly egregious when I think that season Blair Kinghorn was fullback and he'd played 6 games or something.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say about this year, kind of on that basis, is the Toulouse players certainly, but the Bordeaux players as well, because some of these guys, there's an argument that some of these guys have been the best in the league, but they've played roughly half the games, maybe a little bit more. It's just that the games they played, they were phenomenal, but they've ultimately finished 8th, and they weren't. They lost a lot of games, and there are guys that have been more consistent and played more games and kind of put in bigger shifts across the season. It's kind of where do you land on 5 exceptional performances versus 20 good ones, sort of thing. And there's a bit of that with the Toulouse guys as well, obviously, partly because so many of them are unavailable for selection for top 14 selection for large chunks of the year.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it? Should we kind of we can kind of argue the what's and wherefores and all that on the position basis. We tend to go who are the definites. Should we do that? I think I've got 3 or 4.
I've got 1 second. Nearly had a technical issue number 50 this week as my laptop ran out of battery.
I've got 3 that are, in my opinion, undeniable, and I've got probably a couple where there's a standout candidate, but there's a debate to be had.
I think for me there are 2 undeniables, and I think all the others. There are a couple that I think we'll probably have agreed on that were the best player in their position, but you could make very strong cases for others.
For other people, yeah. So my undeniables are 6, 12, and left wing.
I thought that might be them. Yeah, I've got left wing 6, and for 12, I think we've probably got same guy. But I think you could make strong cases for Noah Nene, Santiago Chocobares, August Cadot, Calvin Gorge, but I do also have Fabian Brobury in that position.
Nice. Good. Glad we didn't fall out on that one. I am wearing my Poe hat and my Poe t-shirt, partly to kind of stand my corner to defend my lads.
But also, here we go.
Also, the not the top 14. Tour de France finished in Pau last night, and it starts in Pau today.
What do they call it? It's the
capital of the tour.
Capital of the tour.
Although there are 2 cities that have had legs starting and finishing more than Pau, being Paris, obviously, and Bordeaux, which I found curious.
Didn't know that about Bordeaux.
No,
very
good.
It
would be Lyon more than Bordeaux. Never mind. Yeah, okay, and then 6,
Jack Willis.
Oh no, I haven't. He's not in my team.
Oh, give over.
I've got my 6. My inarguable 6 is Lenny Nucci.
Oh, I've got Nucci 6 and 7. 6 and 7, Willis and Lenny Nucci.
We'll come on to back row, but it's quite hard to balance it because a lot of teams balance it differently. And then left wing, Nicole.
Yeah, undeniable.
I've got strong candidates at hooker, loosehead prop, scrum half, and probably fly half.
Okay, I think. Gosh, should we go one by one through those?
Have you got any other positions where you think there's a real standout? I think I know who you've picked at 8, but there is a serious debate to be had at 8.
Yeah, agreed. So I think that's a tricky one. I think
and loosehead lock is the similar one. There are 2 standouts, and it's I think you can probably work out which side of the
9,
dice I land on.
10. I just thought tight heads. I think that is a real standout.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, go on. Do you want to go Do you want to go with your front row, and then we
Yeah.
can pick out who we think is the
My front row. So I should say it could have been an all Montpellier front row, but both of the leading tight head, Wilfred Hunkpatan, banned for me. Yeah, unselectable. And Awas didn't play enough games anyway, despite also being unselectable. I've got Adosio, Uelese, and then I have gone with Paul Alo-Emile at tight head.
Nice. I've gone with also Baptiste Adosio, also Uelese, and I've gone with Georgi Melikidze.
Okay. So I had Georgi Melikidze on my bench. So, and Richard, now people, we try and do it so that you can listen to this podcast wherever you are, if you're driving, walking, etc. We're leading the stand against these video podcasts, which seem to be blighting us. Podcasts you should be able to do it while you're doing the gardening or the washing up or driving. I've been doing a lot of driving this week. I tend to listen to music, but I know people I wouldn't advise a video podcast while you're driving, for example. I should say that on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will hopefully now see lots of fun stats that divvy up kind of starts, games, minutes. That's a new one in there, because I think that's particularly useful for tight five forwards, and kind of other stats and notes. And Melikidze and Paul Alo-Emile have both played 26 games. Paul Alo-Emile started 14. Melikidze started for 13. By the looks of our stats, Paul Alo-Emile played 6 more minutes. But Melikidze did have 8 tries. I think the thing that edged it for me was that he started the barrage game, and he started the semi-final, and I think he started like other big games like the Paris Derby at home, the Classico at home. But I did really like Melikidze.
Yeah, the reason I went for Melikidze, my criteria is, we're probably in the same place, was that the front row had to come from Montpellier and Stade Francais.
Pretty much, yeah.
Some of if some of those guys from Montpellier are unselectable for France, they should probably be unselectable for us as well. So yeah, the Melikidze thing, it was a little bit of a coin toss, but I also felt, and it is recency bias, his stock rose by his absence in that semi-final, and I think his importance against that Montpellier scrum was really felt. So that was why I landed on him.
I think we had Paul Alo-Emile at the halfway stage, didn't we? Did we end up with him? No, we ended up with Client. Okay, we didn't have Alo-Emile. Oh, we had Moses Alo-Emile, sorry, on the loose head side. Yeah, so Melikidze, like it.
Decent front row, that.
That is a very decent front row. Do you want to do bench while we're there, or go second?
Yeah, so I think the only other tight head... Well, so the only other...
Or should we just do Alo-Emile?
Alo-Emile, fine. Yeah, I thought honourable mention to Joel Merkler, Thomas Leclerc.
But he didn't play that many games.
But I think he played half. I think it's exactly half in the top 14.
Yeah, with 12 starts, 17 games for Merkler. 752 minutes is not a lot. So Leclerc played a lot. Carlu Sardi I completely forgot about, and he actually had a really good season. But I think we might as well just go Alo-Emile.
Yeah, agreed. I'm very happy with that.
I want to make a case for Guram Gogichashvili at loosehead, partly because he plays a little bit of both sides, I think. But I wanted both him and Kariashvili in there as well, because that Racing 92 scrum was completely different when they both played. So certainly the game that I saw, the Paris Derby, those guys started up against the might of that Stade Francais pack, and they were just their scrum was a completely different prospect when those played. Kariashvili didn't actually started half the games, not that many minutes, whereas Gogichashvili played a load of minutes. In fact, of everyone in this list that I'm looking at, he played more minutes than any other prop that we've got, and 7th for tackles made in the whole league.
Not bad going, is it?
I missed one top 14 game. I think that's got to count for something. Have you got any other strong cases at loosehead?
The other Alo-Emile.
Yeah.
But I like Gogichashvili. I think, in a team as well that, despite where they finished, kind of had a few early season struggles, and the scrum did waver a little bit of points. I like that one.
I like Akaladze at Claremont. I was really surprised by how little game time a lot of the Toulouse front row had in the top 14. Like Nettie and I knew barely played. I was like, who the hell was playing then? But yeah. Okay, right. And then hooker, reserve hooker. Who have you got?
I had, well, it was kind of for me a toss up between two. I had Giacomo Nicotera, Stade Francais, and Julian Montoya of Po, but I went with Nicotera.
I don't think Montoya has been that great this season, which, given he is ex-Leicester, plays for Po, has captained both sides, and I think he's in top 5 players I'd like to have a beer with. I think he has underwhelmed with his throwing. I went for Barnaby Massa because the Claremont scrum
the other day.
Yeah, Claremont scrum and line out has gone pretty well. He's got a lot more game time. He's got, tries for hookers is always a bit of a dubious one, isn't it? But I think he's got his fair share. Lucas Martin has 11 tries, which is absolutely madness. He's puts him like 5th or something in the scoring, and he's barely played like 11 tries in 952 minutes. But you've got to be really good if you're in Bayonne, Lyon, Cast, Toulon. You've got to have had a seriously good season to be in there. I did consider Yannick Tarrant. I don't know whether it's like plus or minus for the one of the all-time great red cards.
Flying headbutt.
The headbutt. I'm happy with Nicotera, but
let's go Massa
to change it up to get so it's not
his light from his Grenoble days, right? So
yeah. He also started more games than most of these guys, which I think kind of counts for something. Although Nicotera would have played top 4 Six Nations and internationals, wouldn't he? Cool. Right. I'm happy with that.
We're looking good.
Second row.
So second row,
I think the loose head lock. I think I was going to try and come into this and argue for the 2 standout locks, but I think given in the top 14, the kind of necessity to have a loose headlock and a tight headlock, and the importance placed on the tight headlock being an absolute lump and just a sheer man mountain. If you picked the 2 best locks, you'd be too lightweight. They also, neither of them played in the 5 jersey at all, I don't think. So, and those 2 that I've got are Hugo Oredu and Florian Verhaeghe.
Yeah. And who did you have?
And ironically, one has started for France last weekend and one is due to start for France this weekend.
Yeah. Who did you have at tight head?
Do you know what? I don't think I went for Thomas Sate.
Okay.
It's Tyler Duguay has a strong argument, but I just love Thomas Sate. I think there's just more X factor to him this is a team this season. You can argue you go for consistency, someone like Tyler Duguay. There's also an argument that you go for the bloke that's done more standout things and done cool things, and he's 9th for offloads in the whole league, which is cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, so I had
Verhaeghe is 3rd for offloads, by the way.
Yeah, crazy. I had Verhaeghe with Oredu off the bench, but I think it's a bit of a coin toss over the 2 of them. And then I've sort of been done a little bit by our team at halfway, where I think we had Boris Parlew at 5, who I think was one of the standout locks, both in the top 14. I think he played 3 games at least with 5 on his back.
Yeah, he barely played at 5.
But he's more size-wise. He's not a Meafu or Guillard or Staniforth, but he's slightly less rangy than Verhaeghe and Oredu. So I think you could make a compelling case for him to be at 5. But I think whichever of the Oredu, Verhaeghe is on the bench as the other second row, right? Because they were the 2 standout performers.
I think, Verhaeghe got a red. That counts against him. But I think in my heart of hearts, I think I know that it probably should be Verhaeghe. I'm sure he does a lot of the things that I would argue Oredu does so exceptionally well, but I just haven't seen as many Montpellier games, and I probably don't pay attention. I don't have that confirmation bias that I have with Oredu, but I just see all of his work rate, and I think he's so kind of like with Gogashashvili, like there's an element of like if a player is so key to their side, that makes them like gives them a better argument, and you could like Verhaeghe was more interchangeable with Adam Beard or whoever else they wanted to put in there than Oredu was with Jolmes. And actually Jolmes played pretty well this year. But yeah, I'd say Oredu was just so key and did so much around the park. But I probably know that in my heart of hearts it should be Verhaag. Because even in the final, he was really good and stuff like that. So, and he was brilliant in the semi-final.
Yeah.
And then who are we going tight headlock? Who do we go for? My instinct was, this is where like going into the stats like kills you, because my instinct was Parley or Dougie, and then it's kind of like actually Sate is an absolute baller.
Well, if we're a little bit kind of torn between, you were very happy on Thomas Sate, so let's go with him.
Okay, cool, nice.
Very
bit
happy
niggle
with that
as well.
Yeah. With Tarrant not making it, need to make sure the niggle factor is fairly high. Okay, back row. Always millions and millions. I think we've both agreed on Lenny Nucci, right?
Oh, sorry, just on secondary, can I just say the player that I thought it should be, and I thought he had played way more than he actually has, is Manny Miafu.
Yes, yeah,
there's an argument to say that, I mean, I think it's 12, but it's 12 starts in 13 games, so that's less than half of Toulouse's games, and he's played basically half the amount of minutes of Sate almost. It's just it's tough to argue. But I think
we've got our rules there for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
He's on the cusp. Like, had he played like one more full game, I think he probably would have made. I could have had him in.
Yeah,
but yeah, back row.
So I think 8. There are so many like genuinely outstanding candidates. We both landed on Lenny Nucci, right? As I think we did last year. Who's been,
do you know what,
magnificent.
Richard? If he makes it, Lenny Nucci is, I think, will probably end up being the only player that has made every season of our top 14 team of the season. 3 in a row.
There's an honour.
Yeah.
There's a proper accolade.
Forget his Six Nations title that he won. He'll be buzzing about that.
I'd have thought so, yeah. So I think
balance is the one for back row, right? So most French teams go for like basically a lock in one of the flanking berths, don't they? Whereas us being Rosbifs and Brits, we would go for a work rate man at 6, a jackler at 7, and a big ball carrier at 8. Whereas a lot of top 14 teams do it differently. If you are going for balance and you want that second or auxiliary lock type player in the 7, they tend to wear 7 in France. They would play 6, obviously, like a Chesham or something like that in England. That has to be Cameron Woki, but I don't know how you want to balance it. I actually had a different jackler as my open side to Jack
Willis. I personally think I think Willis is beyond the shoo-in. I think he's the best player in the league. I think he was the best player in the final. And the semi-final, and it's the fact as well. We keep having to discount Toulouse players because they haven't quite played the minutes. He's having to, he's the cold Sunday night at, well, I don't think that Montauban hosted too many, at a beautifully prepared Stade Ernest Vallon. I personally think I get what you're saying on the balance, and I mean, Woki has been incredible as well all season. But yeah, for me, Nucci, Willis were Nucci not as much of a shoe-in, but Willis for me is just a given.
I had Bottier at 7, but I'm more than happy to go for Willis. Bottier only missed like 1 game, which is mad, given for a guy that's had an injury record like he has over the last couple of years.
He was also back to that sort of comedy level, jackling brilliance, wasn't he? And he was fantastic. At 8, I think.
Any other shout outs before we move on?
I mean, there's so many. I thought a couple of some of the Poe back row were brilliant all year. Credos, were fantastic all season.
I've got a couple of shout outs just from, I thought Antim Hemery was really good, but he actually didn't play as much as I thought at Claremont. Shout out for Rhys Hewitt, who was absolutely flying before his horrible Achilles injury, and also played 2 games at centre, which is quite flair. Maxime Baudon, as far as I'm aware, is the only player to have played in every single one of their club's top 14 games, which is pretty impressive.
I think the Leeds leading tackler as well, just for a...
Yes.
Which is always...
But the other shout out I want to make on that, so Maxime Baudon played 28 games for Racing 92 in 1,886 minutes and made 294 tackles. The second most tackles on 286, so 8 tackles fewer on 949 minutes, so almost exactly half the minutes. Jamie Ritchie, fair fucks to Jamie Ritchie.
No wonder he's going. No wonder he's leaving. He's like,
Yeah.
I can't be making 31 tackles every week. Like, yeah, crazy. I think Johnny Gray's stats are up there for Perpignan as well. Like even in joining for half a season, it just. Yeah, the when you're just getting fired upon by your oppositions, it's quite incredible.
I really like that stat and like that comparison, because I've always loved Jamie Ritchie, and just to see some evidence that this guy is an absolute hero. There you go.
Yeah,
like his jackling, his turnovers is up. I think he's 7th or something like that. Which again, like the minutes he played. Fair play.
Remarkable.
In the I wonder what a kind of, if you can't have played like more than a certain amount. If you set an upper limit on like what you could, if you had like a maximum 15 games across the whole season, he'd be a real candidate. It'd basically be Toulouse and Bordeaux and then him.
Yeah, quite incredible.
Go on then, 8. You want to get into it?
Well, I think 8. There are so many genuine, like, incredible contenders. So I think,
who are your contenders?
I think Aldrit, Tanga, Simmons, Vunipola. I probably stopped there, but I think you could also. Nathan Hughes was fantastic. When he played Gorgadze for Poe, the bits I saw, I thought was outstanding as well. Sorokula was
had some unbelievable
fantastic.
Games.
Did you see his beard in the?
No.
He's got like a full grey, like coiffed beard and that kind of red hair. He looked amazing in Cardiff on Saturday. I had a bit of a coin toss between. So Aldrit back in the season, remarkable, but I think he was, as we said a few times, looked a bit leggy while La Rochelle was struggling. So that kind of ruled him out for me.
Him being dropped for the Six Nations, like at the halfway stage, that was valid. His second half of the season, since getting dropped, he has been in brilliant form.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree.
Being magnificent.
I think in another season, the 2 Parisian number 8s could have easily gone in.
Yeah, agreed.
Tango was part of the big, like, because Stade Francais were rubbish last year, right? And he is one of the big money players, and he was one of a handful of Stade Francais players who really drove that immediate uptick in form at the start of the season, and for him to be playing and then keeping someone like Macalou out the side, hell of a season. And I think Hughes surprised us all, really, didn't he?
Remarkable. Yeah, it looked like a really
mad
strange
stats as well.
Signing. So yeah, for me, it's between Billy and Sam Simmons, and I'm kind of interested your view. I'm incredibly one-eyed about Simmons. I always felt he never, being an Exeter fan, never quite got the international plaudits he deserved. But the statistics, which aren't everything, are like utterly remarkable. So 4th most meters made in the entire league, most of any forward. I think he's just behind Niniashvili, Tom Banks, and another fullback, which is remarkable. 8th most tackles in the league, 2nd most kind of broken tackles of any forward, and also became Lyon's captain in his first season, and not behind the thing that always used to really rile me was, needs a massive dominant pack in front of him. I don't think you'd say Lyon are the dominant force, and puts him and Wine and Colo's performances into an incredible light. But I was probably just erring for impact, and maybe a little bit of recency bias towards Billy Vunipola, who was kind of the adjoining piece with Simmons on the bench.
I'm absolutely staggered. Well done for putting your personal bias to one side. You're much better at that than I am. My instinct was Vunipola, but looking at the stats, I was like, well, Richard's going to go for Simmons, and I'm looking at the stats, I think it should be Simmons. So on the meters made, so the good point was made on kind of, we're on a group with the All Things Rugby kind of writers. Good point. There's in the Origin yesterday, State of Origin, they had stats for meters carried and return kicking meters. So basically ball in hand meters in general play being split out from like running back kicks, because obviously like meters gained is a pointless stat for quite a lot of these, because it is like, especially if you've got a team that are pinning teams back like Montpellier, and then like Tom Banks has 30 meters to run into every time he fields the ball, and he's playing 25 games a season. He's obviously going to be top of the meters gained. So these two guys, Vunipola and Simmons, were the only two forwards in the top 10, which counts as something. And there were only, I think there was a couple of others that weren't kind of fullbacks or have like back three players. I think one of them was Jalabert actually, but he would have done a lot of kick return as well, you'd imagine. Vunipola was sixth. I think the Simmons, it's tough because Vunipola also ended up captaining Montpellier for bits of it. Well, Nucci was the captain in the final, right? Yeah.
Yes, he was, yeah.
And there's an argument that because Montpellier was so dominant and the way that he dovetailed with Nucci was fantastic, I actually think we should go with Sam Simmons.
Fine by me. There was
because some of those stats are freakish.
Yeah, in a team that did struggle a little bit at times as well.
And also Billy got 4 yellow cards.
Amazing.
That was one of the clinchers. I was like, that's I think that's joint most like cards.
Yeah,
like I don't think he's not got a red, but it's him and Tursova have received a lot of cards.
There was part of me that was like, could we manufacture the great English back row that never was of Willis, Simmons, and Billy at 8? But I feel that would be tough on Lenny Nucci.
I also think Simmons I think he played. It was like
a couple of games,
2 games. Yeah.
All right, let's go with that, and maybe Billy to interchange off the bench, which is
that's is it Billy or is it Cameron Woki, or are we going 6-2?
Let's get to that in a bit. We've got some discussions to make,
because I think Woki had an amazing season in the top 14 as well, and he played loads of top 14 games, and he was really cool to watch. Interesting.
Okay, right. I'm feeling a bit of 6-2, but all right. Okay, let's get that in a sec. Your 9-10, Le Charnier, is that the term?
The hinge.
The hinge, the axis. Who have you got? I think we might be in agreement on this.
I think there's 2 standout candidates in each. Well, one in each position. I've got Le Garrec and Harry Plummer.
Same. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Plummer, what a season.
Yeah, I was so skeptical about that, like Clermont signings, and him being like, well, the fact they'd signed like a Pro D2 youngster who can't get in his team on loan is like, ooh, do they really back this fly half that they've got from New Zealand? But yeah, top of the point, like second minutes played, 5th for defenders beaten, top point scorer, only missed 1 game. Yeah, it's actually kick success was lower than I thought, but second most attempts at goal.
And played some amazing
and just
generally
play, like proper like swashbuckling, come in behind me sort of performances at times for Clermont. Just a standout season, and I would have him as the favourite. We'll be doing our end of season awards in a few weeks, but without giving the game away, he would be. I think he's probably the favourite for the one in the Lenuida Rugby Awards. I'd imagine like the public and the top 14 votes will go to him for player of the season.
Amazing season. Maybe more of a shoe-in than we gave credit for at the top. Well, but there have been some brilliant performances from 10 all year, right?
At the halfway stage, we didn't have him.
Yeah.
Because Jalabert was being an absolute freak show in the first half of the season. He obviously played fewer top 14 games second half season, but he was just an absolute freak show. And in the end, I just don't think Jalabert quite played enough compared to Carbonell, Miotti. I was really worried you were going to come and argue a case for Miotti, and I just don't know.
No, Plummer by a bit, and then some guys in behind.
And Le Garrec, brilliant. He had a period where he was injured, but Le Garrec, start of the season and the end of the season, just one-man team vibes at times. I think his goal kicking, bit like Luku, like you don't quite realise how good his stats are. Like 85.9 is really serious in terms of percentages, which is actually 7th in the league, but I think he's taking so many kicks at goal. Also joint second for tries, 13 tries in 20 games is not bad. It's not quite Baptiste Couilloux from previous seasons, but
Yeah, fantastic.
Serious season.
Little,
At halfway stage, we had Tuara Kerbalo, and I would put him possibly on my bench because I think, again, like him and Carbonell, the way they, like I said with Tanga, the way they transformed Stefan's fortunes, certainly the kind of immediate uptick at the start of the season. I also love him.
Yeah, I think as an 8, 9, 10 from a single club, you could make Clermont certainly, but you could make a case for Tanga, Kerbalo and Carbonell, who had a brilliant season as well after everything that happened last year. Okay, nice.
Any other candidates at 9? Paul Grau?
Well, I've got another guy on the bench who I think hit the number of games, so I thought was incredible. Yeah, he did hit the number of games. Baptiste Jeannot for me.
Jeannot, yeah,
was
incredible. Yeah,
sublime.
I think it's a real toss up for the kind of second in behind Le Garrick, isn't it? You could have Kerbalo, you could have Grau, you could have Jeannot. Carbonneau's form. I think Carbonneau at Racing he played loads of games and it took him a while to get in, but he was really good towards the end of the season. Ali Price, excellent,
very good
at Montpellier, but less spark than a lot of the others, I'd say.
Yeah,
but his game management was excellent.
Okay, should we
come to that because I think that's going to change our balance. Is going to be interesting on that one on the half backs with our 6-2 bench potentially.
So centres, Worry, I think we're very happy with. Yeah, incredible. 13 was interesting. I've gone for Vinaya Hambosi.
I have also gone for Vinaya Hambosi.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Which that's just a hunch one. Like there's nothing particularly in the stats that like screams out. It was just like this guy feels like he's torn it up all season and been really consistent and been Racing's best and most threatening player. To be fair, he's been Racing's best Fijian, which is like
some going.
Basically the same as like Racing's best player, but it's quite some going in that roll call of Fijians. And like there's a couple of other big name wingers that they brought in, like Ravatamanda, and he's completely outplayed them. And he did play a lot at 13.
Yeah, he did.
And I think the switch from like switching out of Fiku at 13 to bring in Hambosi is arguably what transformed Racing's season from being another season of mediocrity to challenging for the getting to the semis. That was
he was so Hambosi. Yeah, you can call it recency bias, but he was so prominent in that kind of last 10 game run. He was just outstanding every game he played in. But happy with that. The only other guys I had kind of considered, Jeremy Ward was really good again at 13.
Yeah.
I can't lie. I did have a little look at Vuate Karawalevu. Didn't play enough games, unfortunately, but in terms of pure impact, particularly at 13 in the games he did, was absolutely remarkable. And then I also had who is, for me, in my 23 jersey, was Calvin Gorge, but he plays 12 a lot, 13, 15 and 10, I think.
He did. I actually thought the main contender for Hambosi was going to be Depoter, but he just didn't play enough games in the end because of that nasty injury in the Six Nations and stuff. He did, but first half of the season, I still think he is the best centre in the top. Like if I had to pick a centre in the top 14, actually no, I'd pick Brebéry, wouldn't I? But as a centre, I think he's the best centre in France, and he was amazing. I also thought that Gaetan was, and that is a little bit biased, but I was kind of like, is that me just being Poe and South London bias? But no, I think he genuinely has been really, really. He has been one of the outstanding centres in the league for fifth, sixth season in a row or whatever.
Maybe arguably as well feels a little bit further down the order just because of how good some of the other Poe performances were as well. Like his excellence perhaps taken for granted a little bit, where he's stood out more in seasons where they've been a slightly more middling team.
I think that's exactly it. Like he doesn't jump out in that Poe side, but it's because we're so used to him now being just so good. Okay, nice.
Wanagolo, we're very happy with.
A couple of other Fijians, Loa, Dungivalu, Mangala, all like on their day, unplayable. Langivala you could chuck in there as well, but didn't. Took a while to get going because he had so many injuries start the season. But Loa's impact at Clermont, what a player! A guy coming up from Pro D2.
Very good.
Wanakolo left wing, which was a real spanner in the works because I thought because he was right wing at halfway stage, but he's actually ended up playing more on the left wing. So that was a real spanner in the works because I was lining up trying to work out who my left wing option was, and then I realised that I was like, I better check that he has actually played. But 18 tries, like 5 more than the next.
Yeah,
the next 2.
And just continue. Like I think he probably is him. BLBRA, Colby for me, probably the best wingers in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
He's just, he is like a proper. It's that quote. I can't remember who it was on Twitter last season 4, the biggest piss taker since Rupeni Tao, and I think that is.
Wasn't that you?
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately, I would have loved that to have been me. Just what a player. On the right wing, who have you gone with?
Oh, I was hoping you would go first on this. In the end, I went with Teddy Thomas.
So did I.
I thought you might have done.
Yeah.
I really was very close to going Penny Dakawanga, and there is a strong argument, I would say, for Damien Penaud.
Yeah, there is. I wonder if...
And Gregoire Arfoy, but I think the other guys, just all-round game is better than Arfoy. There's still a little bit slightly madcap, slightly uneasy, slightly seat of your pants type thing, and not always in a good way.
I think
Arfoy could be a real contender for the La Révélation for the Nuida Rugby, depending on the kind of slightly dubious criteria they go with. But
I think I know a lot of it was in the Champions Cup, but I think with his switch to 13 because of that depth tear injury, I didn't really consider Penaud, although he did have a really good season in spite of having been dropped by France.
Penaud ended up on my bench in the 23 jersey, but we've got a bit more of a debate for that.
Yeah. I've then got I think but Thomas for me, we spoke about him last week. Just he was so I just didn't expect it with the wingers they've got, and obviously Capwatso was injured a lot, wasn't he? So he went in and just thought he looked like a complete winger for huge parts of the season. Massive part of their Toulouse's success through those periods where they don't have all their superstars. Fantastic. Although I know he's had it for a while. I do miss his amazing lid from yesteryear. The streamlined isn't for me.
I actually think he looks awesome with the full bit.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
He looks so good.
He pulls it off, but I quite like the chaos of.
Well, when I thought I was having Wainikolo on my right wing, I had Labelle on my left wing. So it's kind of that we've got to have some Toulouse players in there. And again, like you said with Willis, the dirt trackers during the cold nights in winter, it was Labelle and Thomas. So I think let's go Teddy Thomas.
Fantastic.
Fullback is really tough.
Tough, yeah.
And this is one where I had one that I was going to come in hard for. And I think the stats I think there's not quite enough in the stats for me to make the case. But I was going to go for Melvin Jaminet. Okay,
interesting. I didn't really consider Jaminet, to be honest with you. I think maybe that's slightly given Toulon season.
He was the best player in that Toulon team when they were really bad.
Yeah.
So, when they were good, like Olivon and Serran and Mercer and these guys all played well, but Jaminet I also thought Jaminet did some amazing things, and I'm also still loving the video that I saw of him taking a pot shot from his own 22 and getting it.
Yeah, I do.
I'm slightly blinded by that, I think, but I don't think there's enough of a case for him compared to some of the. If you go, you're the vibes man in this, Rich, and you would go if you went vibes, you could go for him, but the stats are too strong for the others.
I went for this was probably a bit more vibes. I went for Léo Barré, Stade Francais, who
that is where I ended up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But it depends on where you land on own tries.
I'm up for a bit of chaos. I'm up for a bit of own tryness.
I think the any official team, I think it's probably going to end up with Banks, but I just think best ability there is availability. I don't think he's necessarily been that
as game breaking as like a Barré.
I hadn't quite realised how many tries Leo Barré had scored. All that he'd played, he'd missed one game. I think he was like he was a late dropout, wasn't he? For I think it was the Paris Derby or something like that. Played 26 games, which is phenomenal. So he's missed 2 then. But and 12 tries.
Yeah, I think they're also like he is for all his chaos and a bit of unpredictability. There are times he was their standout player, and he dragged Stade Francais through games as well at points, or inspired them through patches. I think he's amazing, and I feel like we are nudging towards a 6-2, and Barre quite a handy man to have for that. Given he can play 10 and maybe 12 as well at a push as well.
Yeah. Well, I said before, I think there's potential that his long-term position is as a kind of second playmaker at 12 because he's quite bulky. I think you're also being blinded by when you paid that £6 for that.
Oh, when he came...
Son's commentary stream. And wasn't he man of the match against Exeter at 10 or something like that?
He was man of the match off the bench coming on at 10.
Yeah,
which was hilarious. And he was that game. It was full chaos. There was no. It was just I'm going to run everything from everywhere. It was it was a lot of fun. But yeah, even beyond getting past a slightly ropey Exeter team in front of 11 people at Stade Jean-Bouin with even fewer watching online. Performance of the season. Maybe that's the Golden Birth category. Least watched man of the match performance of the season. Yeah,
I like that. I've just thought, also just thinking of the other given one of the other right wing contenders was Damian Penaud. It's quite a chaotic back three when your most steady Eddie is Teddy Thomas.
Yeah. Proper.
I think that's a real celebration of French rugby, isn't it? To have the amount of chaos in that back three.
100%. Right. So if we've got, so we just
right. So bench, that's fine then. That's great news for the bench because it means we can do 6-2 and we can go Woki and Vunipola.
Yeah.
You've got Oradu, Woki, Vunipola. We need a 9 and Calvin Gorge.
Yeah, for me, where do you want to go with 9? I had Jono, thought he was brilliant. I think it's between Jono and Kerr Barlow for me, slightly ahead of Grau.
I had Kerr Barlow. Do we go Grau? I know that we've done this before where you kind of, in a team of the season, you kind of both go for someone and you end up
with someone else.
Yeah.
Grau, first call up.
He has been so good for Toulouse.
I'm happy with.
Given that we've got no other way of splitting Kerbarlow and Jeannot and Grau. I think there has to be an element of Toulouse bias there.
All right, and I can also kind of lay my Paul Grau demons to rest. We can go with him here. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
So who's still got demons? Tom Banks from my end.
Yeah.
Domingo Miotti from my end.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So to run through that then, God, this is going to test me. Front row of Baptiste Dossio and his Montpellier teammate Jordan Uelese. They were excellent at scrum and they were excellent at line out. We've gone Georgie Milakidze as a starting tight head with his teammate Paul Aloamil interchangeable on the bench. Barnaby Massa as the reserve hooker and Racing 92's key Georgian Guram Gogachashvili as the reserve loose head. The lock pairing is Montpellier standout line-out man Florian Verhaag and the kind of stalwart grunt man of the top 14 that also has a bit of flair and angst of Thomas Sate alongside him with a kind of like-for-like replacement of Oradu for Verhaag coming off the bench. The back row, we have Lenny Nucci at 6, Jack Willis at 7, the man of the match from the semi-final and the final, and then we've gone for Sam Simmons at number 8 because he was game-breaking and just the vintage Sam Simmons that we know and love. And we've gone for the standout former England number 8, Billy Vunipola off the bench, and then Cameron Woki, who had a real resurgence, return to form as the other bench option on a 6-2. Guys that won kind of games single-handedly at the half-backs, Nolan Lagarek, probably our goal kicker as well. Excellent just for La Rochelle all season, and Harry Plummer, arguably the standout player of the season across all teams for a brilliant debut season at Claremont. My favourite player in the top 14 all season this season, Fabien Brobery, the generational talent that's going to be taking over the Nations Championship at 12. And then Vinay Hambosi as our outside centre. His switch to 13 for Racing kind of turned their season around. Top try scorer, Juta Wainakolo with 18 on the left wing from Lyon. We've gone for Teddy Thomas, another man who's had a resurgence over the last few seasons on the right wing at Toulouse with a bit of chaos at fullback with Leo Barre, who has actually just in pure stats, also had an excellent season and has at least one contender for own try of the season. And then our reserve backs on our 6-2 bench are beautiful blue eyes Toulouse standout scrum half this season, Paul Grau and Cal Van Gorge. That is what a good looking pair of backs that is to bring off the bench. Cal Van Gorge and Paul Grau. If nothing else, will stun them with looks.
Fantastic. Beautifully summarised. That that whole thing took slightly longer than I'd anticipated, but it was good fun. And that is a good team.
I actually think that is a good team.
I
was slightly worried how it was going to turn out, but that is a good team.
There is some grunt, there is some finesse, and there is definitely a bit of madness in there, which is, I feel, the perfect balance.
And that's why we love the top 14. In the depths of winter, when there is so much bleakness around the UK, switch on your TV, you've got Robbie Knock laughing his head off at something mad that has happened in the top 14. We need that chaos.
Yeah, and if you're going to come at us saying that Sam Simmons shouldn't start 8 because Leon finished 11th, you need a better argument than that. All right, Petit-Fours in a sec.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
All right, Rob, I know we try not to cram in, and I'm not going to do it here, but the amount of movement of players in French rugby at this time of year is always quite something to behold. The two I'm just going to briefly call out because they're quite a lot of fun. One is Jerome Bosviel to Carcassonne, who will be pairing up with Samuel Marquez as their halfbacks in National.
Oh my God.
Which is... Yeah, I mean, you want to if you want a team or a pairing, a charnier that knows how to do it in Pro Day and get you back there. That is a fair bit of experience to get you over the line.
I saw James Harrington on Blue Sky said Jerome Bosville to Carcassonne confirmed. He's going to need a big freezer for all of the. What was the exact quote? I'm going to find it. I don't want to butcher it. Ironically, the word butcher is probably the ultimate.
Oh, guy.
Oh, God, where has it gone? I had this. Jerome Bosville to Carcassonne confirmed he'll need a big freezer to deal with all of the player of the match meat platters. But I'd completely forgotten they had Marquez. So, barbecues round Marquez or Bosville next season in Carcassonne. But the butcher of Carcassonne is going to be a busy man dishing up Côte de Boeuf and sausages for those two guys. And obviously Johnny McPhillips, our man.
Yeah,
those are actually two of the most accurate goal kickers you could have. I think Bosville was third in the top 14. Johnny McPhillips was statistically, as in terms of accuracy, and then Johnny McPhillips was top in Pro D2. So huge. Yeah,
very cool. The other one, which is slightly even more niche, is Wasaya Naya Salevu has joined Olympique Grasse down in the south of France. It's been a very strange kind of back end to his career.
Isn't he? I swear, every time I see him he's in Dubai playing for some team there. He's like an ambassador for somebody in the UAE.
I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, so I mean, I'd imagine he would do a job in National 2 in spite of not playing that much rugby recently. The final Fijian thing. This was utterly bizarre. I don't know if you saw Selassie Rayasi, who has been amazing at Bordeaux this year, was playing for Fiji against Wales in what, I don't know if they got it wrong or likes an oversized shirt, but what effectively looked like a kind of a very large shirt tied up at the back with like a peg.
It was
kind of 90s. Do you know what I'm getting at? When people used to tie their shirt up on
bit Spice
Muscle
Girls,
Beach.
isn't it?
Bit Spice, yeah, that's the best.
He's on a backwards facing chair. He's sitting forward on a backward facing chair in that. But the slightly more don't want to put podcast in the gutter, but kind of like when a girl has had a sleepover at a guy's house at uni, and she's borrowed one of his rugby shirts for the walk home.
It was a very strange look. It was, there was all sorts of, all sorts going on there. I don't know if you've got anything, a couple of small bits for me to round out otherwise.
Some breaking news. We have Jalimack, Entrées at 10, Mathieu Jalibert at 15. We will do a more specific preview at some point on YouTube. There you go. But yeah, that will I'll do something for that.
Very exciting.
But yeah, very exciting. Calvin Gorge on the bench as well. Legaric and Gorge. No Paul Grau. They very nearly went for our top 14 team of the season. Halfback rank. I obviously had the Tom Staniforth speech. The other thing was the emails come around. It's also the time of the year for getting your season tickets in. And Mont-de-Marsan, they had a season ticket offering that was like slightly fewer than all of the games for like basically like you save yourself quite a bit of money. It actually felt like, I know they're in Nacional now, but it felt like a pretty good so you can get all home games in Nacional and the highest is €350 and the lowest standing is €130 that's €10 a game. That's not bad. But for 9 matches, so 4 matches fewer, you can get €252, which for the absolute best seats, which feels pretty good.
Yeah, very
I think.
reasonable.
9 games for €250, and presumably you can pick and choose as well, like the best games. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, very cool.
That was kind of, and they also listed like in that email, they listed their signings, and there's all sorts going on at Mont-de-Marsan. I'm not going to go into it, but they've got some pretty good players going there as well. Jacques Ngimbu was the one that I think he was on loan.
Yeah.
Saw him get a horrible injury at Pau in last year, April 25, and he's kind of come back, but still one to look out for, I think. But yeah, not much from me on the Petit-Fours. I haven't seen loads.
The only other 2 bits that caught my eye, Freddie Michalak has officially made his move down to the NRL. He is coaching at Cronulla Sharks. Which I know was in the offing, but that's a very cool transition. And then the final thing was there was I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but Chateau Pepusque and the big man that looked like a fantastic event last week or whatever it was.
Chateau Pepusque or Festival Pepusque.
Yeah, bit of music, bit of wine, some lovely looking food. Quite jealous actually. It looked very, very agreeable. And the main man himself was there, of course.
Christophe Urios. I can't believe because I've been so busy over the last few days. I've completely forgot that happened. And also the Magic Weekend at Pierre Fabre. That was 2 things that we had going on in south of France. And
of course.
4th of July. Forget Independence Day celebrations in New York. Festival Pepusque was the place to be. Or Stade Pierre Fabre for Toulouse Olympique versus Catalan Dragons.
Very good. Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll look forward to.
Were there any amazing rugby shirts in the post-match, après match style? Because wasn't like the Saturday afternoon of the festival like bring your best rugby shirt? I
didn't see. I might have to report back next week.
Yeah, listeners, if you've made it here,
might be day
back.
1.
Yeah, report back if you can find any amazing footage from Festival Pepusque and some amazing shirts.
Any good clobber. But yeah, in the meantime, look forward to Australia hosting France this weekend. Should be an absolute belter. We'll be back next week to review that and probably not a lot else, to be honest, but we'll sort something out.
Under 20s World Championship, we'll maybe touch a bit on that.
Yeah, it's been
France played Australia in that on Tuesday.
Some fun stuff going on there for sure. Follow us at Rosbif Rugby pretty much everywhere. You might want to follow someone online. That sounds odd. Get in touch, rosbifrugby@gmail.com. I think, I could be wrong, but last year the top 14 fixtures were announced on Thursday.
11th. Yeah,
is that when they're coming out?
That's the last year was like the 11th or 12th of July.
Yeah, 13th, it was basically soon. Now. So keep an eye out for that and get in touch. Want to hear where you're heading. And otherwise, I've been Richard. That has been Rob. We've been the Rosbif Rugby Podcast. Au revoir.
Au revoir.